I don't think there's any downside to applying the Balyi model of peak height velocity. That's also how we can start to manage a 6'6", 11-year-old to make sure that he's properly training and looking at the difference between biological age and chronological age. And also when you look at this model, there's certain things that you can't modulate. You start with genetics, again, coming from this basketball environment, but then you look at development, and that's not necessarily a training development, that's an infant development. And again, my influence from pediatric models and DNS, I think is very, very important, where not only the values of centration, but hopefully that doesn't get you in down this rabbit hole, but yeah, you got to be able to crawl and you got to be able to roll. If little Jimmy starts to walk earlier than what's ideal, put him down and make him crawl through tunnels and things of that nature. Hanging. So a lot of those things will then translate to the next steps where you have genetics, this early development, and then you have the two opportunities of hitting those windows of peak height velocity, where if you pick the right things, you can then, kind of maximize that floor that the genetics would deliver. And obviously, your physical height would be part of your genetics. So look, the genetics is the ground floor. How you develop is this kind of piece that isn't really talked about in the youth development and long-term athletic development that we see in these youth programs. But then you have those two peak height velocities, and then using what research, or, because I know it's probably challenged by a lot of people, but I think it's only challenged because some people hit the lottery, or your genetics are so robust, or maybe you didn't really know what you were doing for the development or the peak height velocities. You think you didn't do anything, so people like to say that it doesn't work. I don't think there's a downside to then actually trying to manipulate age-specific training, and if the windows are not really the answer, I don't think you did anything bad. And then after puberty, my suggestion would be that I think young people in all spaces should still be able to identify, particularly with I am a this in terms of their sport.